Hey everybody, welcome back into this week's episode of Tony's Spot On Fishing. I'm your host, Tony Krizek. Today, or tonight I should say, we're doing something a little bit different. We got a bad case of cabin fever. And unfortunately, Mother Nature's not really cooperating with us. See, we had some ice, we started to build some safe ice. We had about 3 or 4 inches here around in the Chicagoland area. And what happened is we had that nice warm front come through, totally eliminated our ice. Now we're back, temperatures dropped again, lakes are starting to crust over, but not safe enough ice to walk on, not thin enough to bust through with a boat. So we're gonna change it up and get a cure for our cabin fever. We're on the Fox River in Montgomery, Illinois, at night under the cover of darkness, fishing walleyes. We're gonna show you some tips, tricks, and techniques to catch these fish out here. You can do it all night long, all winter long, and that's all this week on Tony's Spot On Fishing. Now let me tell you exactly what we're doing here tonight. My buddy Mike is with me. He's tossing a crankbait around, and what I'm doing is actually throwing a little jig. And now what we got here, it's just a little 1/8 ounce jig head, and I prefer that pink and white colored. For whatever reason out here, they love that pink and white. Even at night, the color makes a big difference. We've thrown Fire Tiger, we've thrown orange, we've thrown yellow, plain lead. But I'll tell you, we get more bites with that pink and white head, and we're actually tipping it with a 3-inch Gulp Alive minnow. Now, if you want, you can run live bait out here, run live like a large fathead or a medium-sized fathead minnow, but we catch just as many fish on the Gulp as we do the real thing. And basically what we're doing, we're gonna pitch them out, and we're just actually kind of swimming it along the bottom. Basically, we don't really want real big hops to it, but we're actually just kind of swimming it back, and we'll jiggle it a little bit to kind of get that bait to swim, but we want it to be doing that right near the bottom. There is a lot of snags out here in the river, wood, rocks, some catfish lines that have been left out. So if you let it sit and still, a little too long, you're gonna hang up quite a bit. So the key is to just kind of keep it up off the bottom and just swim that bait back to you. You'll get a lot of bites that way. Now Mike's throwing a crankbait. He's actually running a husky jerk. We throw husky jerks, X-Wraps, the X-Wrap shads, clacking cranks. Any of those baits will work really well. You just want something that's going to run about 3 to 4 feet down because we're not in super deep water. The spot we're fishing here tonight, it's a little bit of a peninsula, or a point, I should just say, a rock bar that comes out, and basically we have a nice deep pool out in front of it, which drops down to about 4 feet of water with slack water. And we're fishing the edge of that current break that this rock bar makes all the way into that pool. And these fish will line up in here, they stack up in here, the walleyes come in, and it's always better to catch them at night. You'll get a lot more activity this way. During the day, the sun's out, the river's very clear right now. So under the cover of darkness, we can catch a lot more of these fish. Let's get to it. Let's show you how it's done. Come on. That was 2 bites on 1 cast, and I swung and missed on both of them. When we're out here jig fishing, what I like to use is about a 6.6 medium light action rod. We want a softer tip to it. We don't want to ever run the risk of, when we're running a single hook, pulling that hook out on a fish. We'll get real good hook sets with a 6.6 medium light, and we run monofilament. We don't like to run braid in this application. We get a lot better, we get a little more forgiveness out of that mono. So it has a little bit of stretch to it, but we still run like about an 8-pound test, so we have enough abrasion resistance for the little snags that are down there. And it's perfect for these walleyes out here. Sizes will range anywhere from 8 to 10 inches up to 20 inches. So there is some good quality fish, but also some little ones mixed in as well. But 8-pound P-Line CXX, it's a fluorocarbon coated mono. So it does help that jig sink a little bit. We get a little better feel, but it still gives us that forgiveness too. And you know, when those walleyes bite, when we hook them, they head shake a lot. So just having that forgiveness of that medium light rod and also the mono plays a big key factor in it. Little guy. Look at that, right in the top of the mouth. That's just a little walleye. That's one of those stockers that they just put in here. But yeah, we'll catch them from this size all the way up to 17, 18, 20 inches. But I'll tell you what, it's a great way to beat the cabin fever. We can't get on the ice yet, but at least we can go to the river and play around and catch some walleyes. See, and all we're doing, basically, it's just, you know, we really don't want it to let that bait sit still too long. Like I said, there's a lot of snags out here. And, you know, basically, we're just kind of keeping that bait up, keep it moving, and just kind of swimming it. Fishing a lot with the rod tip up. And add some twitches. There. Oh, missed that one. But add a few twitches to it. You know, let the reel just kind of keep picking up that line and just slowly swimming it just off the bottom. And I'll tell you, you come out here with a Gulp Alive minnow, or if you want to pick up some fatheads yourself, or even a grub, a 3-inch grub, white, you know, white and black will work. Any of those colors, you know, you'll definitely come out here and catch some fish. But like I say, at night, though, this is when they're the most active. Walleyes in general, you know, for those that don't know, they obviously get their name because of their large eyes, and they're very sensitive to light. And there's not a lot of deep water to this river, at least not in the Montgomery area. You know, further north and even further parts down south, we'll get into some deeper water. But right here, this is, you know, 4 to 6 feet in spots is about it. But they'll come up on these shallow flats like this under the cover of darkness, and especially when the water is clear like it is. If the sun was up and we were looking, we would probably see a good visibility down 3 to 4 feet. So the water's real clear, and that's where fishing under the cover of darkness for these fish really comes into play. Another thing you guys want to do if you're finding you're losing a lot of baits if you're jig fishing and you're just having a harder time getting the hang of swimming that jig just off the bottom, you can run a slip bobber. They make lighted slip bobbers. You can get them with the little electric light in it, the battery powered light, or the glow sticks even, and kind of use that to swim your bait along as well until you can get the feel for swimming that jig, keeping it out of all those snags. But look for slack water where there's areas near that current break, and basically that's where these fish stay. They want to get out of the current. They can ambush food that comes by on the current and run out, grab it, come right back in. This is where they are all winter long. One thing too we want to talk about, and there's been some articles written about it, and one thing I can tell you from being on the water as much as I am, there's a lot of truth to the whole muskie walleye relationship. It seems, especially in bodies of water, well, definitely in bodies of water where they both live, where you find walleyes, you'll usually find a muskie hanging around. Now, I fish a lot up in Green Bay, and we've had very good nights up there fishing walleyes. All of a sudden, your bite stops. Somebody will accidentally hook one. Same thing happens out here on the Fox River. So many times we've been out here, even just throwing an X-Wrap or a Shad Wrap, or a pollock clack and crank, catch a few walleyes, all of a sudden your bite just dies, and usually you'll either get broken off by a muskie or you'll hook and land one. If you see our show we did this summer out here on the Fox River at Montgomery, where we had the Fox River trifecta, a walleye, a smallmouth, and a muskie, all came on a shallow diving crankbait. So, you know, basically, What's that?
The fish is swirling. Probably about 9 feet out from me.
In the little pool here?
Yeah, the little pool here. He's got a fin, so.
Well, that's a good sign.
Yeah. He totally ignored my crankbait, so. Might be a little too much for the jig.
I think I saw it.
Well, that's right, he's got the camera.
Well, right there, just basically exactly what we were talking about, the muskie walleye relationship there. We had to kind of abruptly end our conversation. Mike actually came around on the other side of this point. There was a very large boil. He was able to see the silhouette of the fish, what appeared to be a muskie, up and around chasing. And there's definitely something to it. Where you find active walleyes, there's muskies around too. And that's one of the reasons down here at Montgomery we do so well on muskies. And the face of the dam, the slack waters of the rock bar, the main river channels, anywhere those fish are at, the muskies are in there with them. And couldn't have planned it any better other than to be talking about it and to actually see one around. So you never know with the way the night's going. We may end up hooking one on a crankbait here accidentally. We could even get one on a jig. You never know. So we'll see what happens. The night is young. Now, one tool you're going to want to have on you, aside from your pliers, is a good hook file. When we're fishing near the bottom, you know, our jig every once in a while is going to make contact, and you drag across a rock, timber, anything that's down there, and your hooks are going to dull out. So always, every few casts, check that hook point. Now when you go to sharpen them, touch them up, you really don't have to do too much to them. In fact, all you really want to do is just go right flat with the point. We'll just do a couple on both sides, and right up the top we'll check it. Do just a little more. Perfect. And now that hook is nice and sticky sharp again. Anytime you can have a nice sharp hook point, it's going to up your odds of putting a hook in a fish. And anytime we're fishing jigs, it's always a very good idea to keep an eye on those points and make sure they stay razor sharp so we can get those fish. Now, let me show you too exactly how we rig up a gulp minnow. One question I used to get asked all the time when I was working in the tackle shops is just how do you actually rig these baits up? Now, some guys prefer to thread the bait up the jig head. I don't. I actually hook it, I'll nose hook it just like we would if this was a live fathead minnow. So basically, we're going to take it, we're going to go right through the head just like so. So just as if this was a live minnow, we'd be doing the same thing. And basically what this will do, it gives it a lot more movement, so we have a lot more action to the tail. It'll give off a little vibration as we're swimming that bait, and it'll act just like a real minnow. Now, gulp plastics, they're not really plastics. They're a biodegradable material, and they actually breathe scent in the water. So what that means is this thing's in the water, it's slowly giving off that scent trail. They can hone in on that. They come up, it's a lot softer texture than a plastic because it is a biodegradable material, so it feels more natural. You'll get more bites and catch more fish.
There's a little walleye on here.
There we go. There we go.
That's the best one of the day, buddy.
Yeah.
Wow, that makes yours about, what, 3?
Well.
You need extra light?
Oh, come on. Thank you.
That's probably not helping the night vision. Or is it?
It's better than a flashlight.
Well, yeah, that is about the biggest one for the night.
Definitely.
Where's the fish?
Take that. Got it.
Yeah, that little crankbait came through.
There, you want a shot of the crank? There you go.
Yeah, that's that Rapala clacking crank. What's really cool is these sound chambers that are right here. They emit the vibrate, or they emit that sound in the water, and it's kind of like a one knocker. I'll put it right by my microphone.
Don't do that.
And it basically just gives you that sound propulsion through the water. Really helps those fish key in on it, especially out here at night. But excellent, excellent bait.
So we're out here because of cabin fever. It's been so long since I've caught a fish because we've been waiting for ice fishing. I had totally forgot what it felt like to catch a fish, especially a smaller walleye.
Now what Mike was doing there with his crankbait, rather than just a straight retrieve, he was doing a stop and go retrieve, but he was actually kind of doing even a little bit more of a variation of it. He was actually power cranking it down and basically getting that bait to just and then pause, pause, and those high bursts of vibration and sound. It's one way to really key those fish in at night. Especially at night. The water, like we said, is very clear, so they can still see that bait. And the walleye's vision is superb. So they have no issue seeing it, that little bit of flash that bait gives off. And they can see it to eat it on a pause. But basically, that hard crank down, get that going, it'll emit sound, high vibration, pause it, acts like an injured, dying fish. And those walleyes can't resist it. So that's another good little trick to remember when you're out here at night fishing these walleyes.
Fish home.
Got
That's
him?
a good fish.
Mike's got a good one here.
That's a good one.
You need a light?
Yeah, bring a light. Hey, looks like he got snagged. Yeah,
Oh.
caught him in the back. You know that? Try to get him.
If you need some pliers.
That is the one bad thing about stop and go, is you do snag some fish that way. It's not my intention by any means, but about the same size as my last one. You just got to be careful, especially when you snag them. Just try to get them back in as soon as you can without hurting them. So thankfully he wasn't hooked all that badly. So walleyes, especially on the stop and go, they like to go for that front run, the front set of trebles, but especially with the bait that I like to use on the river, this clack and crank, it does have that, yeah, there it is, that extra elongated hook, and that does just add the snag factor to it. So just be careful with that. If we're gonna catch a giant, we're gonna take them home and we're gonna eat them. It's gonna be right and not by snag. That's not our intentions ever. So just know that that's gonna happen. So just always think of the fish. Another little guy. A little less stop and go on that one. That was more of a straight retrieve because we were just BSing. But, well, this is the size of Tony's fish today. So, actually it's bigger than the ones Tony are catching today. Come here, monkey. So, yeah, and you got, oh yeah, we're gonna need the pliers on this guy. We went for that front one. Front treble, we're trying to T-bone this guy. And, yeah, we're gonna let you get in there and do your magical work. Your softer hands, your softer bear paws.
Here, I'm gonna have you hold the flashlight.
That rod's just gonna lean on you.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the fish. It's not gonna be too bad. I didn't do a giant sweeping hook set on this guy because he was definitely walleyes. You don't like to go slow.
There we go.
As they eat, no problems. So
Yeah,
that's
a little guy.
yeah, he is. With the again with that elongated hook, I don't like to do big hook sets for that reason because you just never know. But that's me. No, sorry, that's like aiming right at the camera. That's me.
Well, and to Mike's point, you know, really we don't have to do a hard hook set. You know, when we're using a crankbait, we're running a softer tip rod anyway. And basically, you know, a walleye's mouth structure, yeah, the upper portion of their mouth is got some bone and cartilage to it. But we don't need to just really rip on these fish. Basically, just a nice sweep like Mike was talking about will do the job just fine. These fish, you know, they're not that big that we're catching right now, but even on our bigger size fish, to really do a hard setting hook set defeats how the rods are designed to work. With that softer tip, it basically you let the rod load up as you load the rod into that fish, and that rod will do the work and help set the hook for you. So no, Mike's absolutely correct. We don't really need to crack them too hard. But, you know, we're fishing pike and muskies, totally different story, but for what we're doing tonight with a traditional walleye cranking rod, just go ahead, lean into them, and you'll catch plenty.
Yeah.
Another little walleye there. Actually, what I did, Mike was doing so good on that clacking crank, is I actually just went to a regular X-Ram and actually kind of going in a very slow retrieve. So slow and steady as compared to where Mike was doing that real aggressive stop and go. I went to real slow, steady retrieve. Now the X-Wrap bait has a lot more roll to it, so it's a lot more visual. There's more flash to it. It's not as high a vibration. There's not a high frequency, not a real loud rattle to it. So this bait, we definitely kind of want to keep moving a little bit, but we can go in that slow pace. We'll get a nice flash off of it, and that'll get those walleyes going at night there. But real weird bite. The bite's been really aggressive all night, and that one just kind of came up and sucked it in. But hey, you know what? That's fishing. That's spot on fishing.
Nope.
Got a nice little walleye on that X-Wrap there. Like I say, this is just a great way to really beat that cabin fever. You know, and right now tonight we're getting in on a few smaller fish, but you know it's not uncommon to come out here and catch some keeper-sized walleyes. You know, walleyes have to be about 14 inches here on the river. You get a limit of 5 of them. And there's been quite a few nights we've come away with a limit out here, but tonight it just seems to be more of those little guys. I'll tell you what, it beats sitting on the couch, it beats being inside. I love it.
No, jeez.
Right in front. Little guy. Eating right at my feet. He's a little cutie. Mwah. You gotta be careful when you kiss them walleyes. You know, they got those teeth. You gotta watch it. You can tell it's getting late in the evening. We get a little more slap happy out here. Like a little bit. Not huge. I don't know why I think it just got me into that current a little bit. Yeah, that's all it was. The other thing too we got going on is we're looking at our solar lunar charts before we came out, and the peak period was supposed to happen right around 10 o'clock, and it's just shortly after 10 p.m. right now. So always keep an eye on those moon charts. It's a new moon tonight. Everybody always wants to put a lot of emphasis on the full moon aspect of it, but a new moon can be just as good. So when we were driving out here, we saw a lot of deer running around. When you see the deer and any kind of animals, be it raccoons, possums, anything that's out and about, it's usually a sign that the animal kingdom is on the move and they're feeding. And saw a lot of that driving in the river today. So it's a good sign. Keep an eye on those charts, and that'll also help you be a lot more productive out here tonight. Those fish kind of move back out right at the edge of that current break. And what they do is, what do they say? They've basically been looking, you know, for food that gets pushed down from the face of the dam. The dam is right behind us, and we're just casting parallel with the current break off of the rock bar that we're standing on. And basically, they're right in that area where the slack water meets the moving water. And they're waiting for food and things like that to come down so that they can run out, grab the easy meal, and come right back here. And anywhere you find that in the river, big boulders that cause slack water, rock bars, submerged rock bars, you know, the whole west side of this river is slack water because of a submerged rock bar that's actually probably about 20 yards in front of the dam. It makes the whole west side of the river in Montgomery here, from here to the bridge, pretty much slack water. This rock bar here that we're standing on also is causing a current break. So those are two areas here in Montgomery that we'd really like to focus on this time of year. You know, the water's cold. Those fish don't really want to deal with the currents, so they're looking basically to find areas to get out of it. There are some fish that'll hang in the main river channel and stay down deeper and get behind a rock or things like that. But river fish in general, largemouth, smallmouth, pike, muskies, walleyes, what's really cool about it is we can catch them all year long, and a lot of times we can get them on a crankbait. Now people think, boy, it's really cold, you gotta really slow down. But you gotta remember these river fish, there we go. These river fish, might be a little better one. No, he's just in the current on me again. These river fish are literally fighting current all the time. So because of that, they have to eat a lot more than those fish that are in lakes that are froze over. So they're constantly burning fat. Their metabolism is still working. They're not overly aggressive, but they're aggressive, if that makes sense. Basically, these fish have to eat more just to sustain life because they're constantly dealing with current. So that's kind of the one nice thing about, you know, fishing rivers through the winter months. You can come out here, even at times when we're just bored with ice fishing, which we don't really get too bored with, but times of the, you know, real long winters, we got to get out and actually throw a bait. We can always come to the river and find an active fish.
Oh, jeez.
A little smaller here, that's not a good thing. And that might be one we asked the editor to nicely not put in. They've all been small, but this is even possibly the smallest of the day. No doubt I got musculars bigger than that one. Heck, I got some bass baits bigger than that one. But you know, it's better than sitting at home. Here we go.
definitely say one thing. The amount of these little guys that we're catching here, the future of the walleye fishery here on the river is going to be good. Like I said, I wish we really could have gotten some bigger fish on film for you tonight. A lot of the little guys are up right now, but just seeing the numbers that are here and knowing these fish are growing, they're good forage base for them, it's going to keep the walleye population growing real strong. My goodness, there's another one. It's going to just keep getting better and better out here. And like I say, if you guys put some time in down here, you'll be surprised how many really good quality walleyes there are. Going up a little bit in size at least. But yeah, I'll tell you what, coming out here, bring some jigs, 1/8 ounce jigs, the Gulp minnows, bring some crankbaits, a husky jerk, X-Wrap shads, the straight X-Wrap minnows, Rapala clacking cranks. Come on out, even if it's just for an hour. Get on down here, break cabin fever, have some fun, catch a few fish. Well, that's about all the time we have for this week, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Kind of give you guys and girls a little bit of an option if you just can't take cabin fever anymore and you got to get out. We don't have safe ice yet here in the greater Chicagoland area, but coming out to the river at night, hey, you know what? They may not all be giants, but you can get some good numbers, have some fun, wet a line. It's a good way to spend an evening out here. Anytime after sunset, you can get out here and get on these fish, and the bite will pretty much go all night. So even if you guys want to come out late, if you're working night shifts, come on out. The bite goes all night long. Mike, always a pleasure.
Tony,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. It was a good time.
It was a good time to get out.
Yeah. Like I said, hopefully soon here in the next couple weeks, we'll be bringing you some great ice fishing action. Also, we're going to be teaming up with Corey Bowman once again, and we're going to be on some wintertime carp. A lot of people don't think about carp in the winter months, but we're going to show you how that happens. There's more great episodes coming up on Tony's Spot On Fishing.